Hi everyone, let's have a bit of a look through the assignment information for your annotated bibliography assignment, since that's what you'll be expected to complete after you finish your proposal assignment. So here we are back on the Blackboard homepage, and we'll jump into assignment info folder and have a look at the annotated bibliography assignment. Annotated bibliographies are probably one of the most common assignments you'll come across in your academic career. Many humanities and social science courses ask you to prepare an annotated bibliography assignment. So the assignment you'll complete for English 115 will be about 600 words long and is worth 10% of your final grade. So for the assignment, you're required to write a short annotation, each one roughly 200 words long, for 3 scholarly resources. We'll talk more about what makes something a scholarly resource. And these scholarly resources need to be pertinent to your research essay topic. So by this point, you'll have completed your proposal assignment, and I'll have given you some feedback on that. And you'll be thinking ahead to how you're going to complete your research essay. And so the annotated bibliography assignment is designed to get you going on doing your research towards completing that research essay. Each of these resources in your annotated bibliography assignment must be a minimum of 5 pages in length in their original format. This requirement is to avoid the situation where people are writing annotated entries on book reviews that are half a page long or a single page in length. These are scholarly resources, definitely, and they can be immensely useful, but there's not enough information there. There's not enough material there to make it worth your while for an annotated bibliography assignment. You can certainly use scholarly book reviews, that's fine, but they do need to be a minimum of 5 pages in length. Same with all your other sources for this assignment. So ideally, these resources will form the foundation of your research and will help you develop a critical argument for your research essay. If you find as your research progresses and as your working thesis statement develops and your project changes that these resources aren't useful for you when you get to writing your research essay, that's fine. You won't be required to include them if they're no longer useful. But ideally, they will be useful. This is work you have to do towards the annotated bibliography assignment. It might as well be good work that supports your research essay. So there are 2 parts to the annotated bibliography assignments. 2 parts to each annotation. You're required to provide bibliographic information for each resource, following a referencing style of your choosing. So the bibliographic information is like the author's name, the title, the text, the page numbers, the date, the publisher, the place of publication, where you got it, all those sorts of things. And you'll be expected to follow either MLA, APA, or Chicago when organizing that bibliographic information. Following that information, you need to include an annotation. So this is the 200-word section. The bibliographic information, the author, title, all that stuff doesn't count towards your 600-word limit. Your annotations, so the 200-word annotations should be broken roughly into 2 parts. In the first part, I want you to provide a brief summary of the scholarly chapter or article or review or book or whatever the resource is that you selected. So this should be no longer than a couple of sentences, maybe 50 to 70 words. Tell me briefly what the thing is. This article is an in-depth analysis of the effects of social media on body image in teens in Canada or something like that. Don't get any more in-depth into what the thing is than a couple of sentences. The bulk of the 200 words for each of your 3 annotations should be explaining how the particular text you're commenting on fits within your topic. So how will this resource be used to support the claims you make in your research essay? The more specific you can be in doing this, the better sense I get of whether you're supporting your arguments with effective scholarly resources. So if you can be as specific as saying something like, I plan to use the statistics on page 376 to support the claim I will make in the second body paragraph of my essay, that would be fantastic. What I really want to avoid is people saying things like, this article is about climate change and my essay is about climate change. so it'll be useful for me. Well, okay, of course it will be, but I want to know more specifically, how will it be useful to you? And so the majority of your annotation should focus on this. How are you going to use this thing? Why is it useful? So roughly 130 to 150 words. Don't worry too much about those word counts. Just know that the entire annotation, the brief summary, and the detailed description of how you plan to use it should be roughly 200 words for each of your 3 scholarly resources. Arrange the entries in your annotated bibliography alphabetically by the first letter to appear in each bibliographic entry. As always, have a look at the sample assignment on Blackboard if you haven't already done so. Maybe we'll have a quick look at that in a second. So I'll be grading you on the correct formatting of your bibliographic information. Have you followed APA properly, or MLA, or Chicago? Again, this material is not part of your word count. I'll also be grading on your selection of scholarly resources. Don't submit annotations or references material for resources that aren't scholarly. I don't want to see any newspapers, any non-scholarly websites, any popular magazines included in this information. Those sources aren't acceptable for this course, for this assignment. We're limiting your resources to strictly scholarly ones. I'll also be looking for the clarity of your brief summaries on the resources you've selected, and most importantly, your explanation of how each resource will support your essay topic. How are the resources you have selected, how are the articles, chapters, books, reviews, whatever it is you're using, how are they related to your topic, your argument about the topic, or the other resources you've selected? This assignment will test your ability to document using a referencing style and help you to get started on your research for the research essay. Again, you're not required to use any of these resources when it comes to the research essay, but it would be in your best interest to do so. Why not, as I say, make use of the work you've already done? The research you do in support of your annotated bibliography will likely not be the totality of your research for the research essay. You're probably going to need to find additional sources to support the arguments that you develop in your final paper. But having 3 strong scholarly resources that you're closely familiar with will definitely be a great start towards completing your research essay. Let's have a quick look at the sample annotated bibliography. So here's a good sample. This person has actually put the entries in reverse chronological order, or reverse alphabetical order rather, but that's okay. So here's the annotation, or the reference material to start with, the bibliographic material, the author's name, the title of the article, where the article is from, the issue and volume, the date, where they found it, the date of access, all those sorts of things. And it starts off by summarizing this article, and then moves into a description of how this article, this resource, will be used in the research essay. This person's even included a particularly useful quote with an in-text citation. You don't have to include quotes in your annotated bibliography, but if there are things that you think are particularly useful, then you can certainly feel free to include them if you want to. So there's the first one. It's roughly 200. This is roughly 200 pages, or 200 words long, rather. And then they've moved on to the second resource. Again, here's the bibliographic information, the author's names, the title of the article, the journal it's from, the date, etc., etc. Again, a brief summary, and then again moving into a description of how this particular resource will be useful for the research essay. And then the third resource, again, the bibliographic information, and then the annotation following. There's a quick video that I'll post on Blackboard that gives a brief description of the annotated bibliography assignment. It's already also linked to on the North Island College Library website, where there's a helpful section on composing annotated bibliographies. Some of the information in those resources is slightly different from what I'm expecting you to do, so do follow this assignment description when you're doing your work, not necessarily the supplementary material that I'll provide for you. And as always, let me know if you have any questions or comments or concerns.